My friends, this is Dr. B, the best doctor in medicine and the most caring doctor in medicine. After more than 30 years at high level in medicine, Dr. B wants to remind all of you to never forget that Dr. B genuinely cares about you and Dr. B genuinely loves you. And I say this from the bottom of my heart. Today, Dr. B wants to tell you, why is it that simply being overweight, not obese, I'm talking about the people who are overweight, right, which is half of the American people. 50% of the American people are overweight. Why is it that simply being overweight is by itself dangerous? It is by itself a risk factor for many conditions, adverse conditions that will decrease your lifespan. There are many reasons why being simply overweight increases your risk of dementia, increases your risk of heart failure, increases your risk of cancer, increases your risk of infections, right? The dementia, cancers, heart failure, and infections. These are four major bad diseases, bad conditions that are increased if you are overweight. Why is it that simply being overweight increases your risk of dementia, cancer, heart failure, and infection? The reason is very simple. I apologize, I take back. It's not very simple, but it comes to a different reason. Number one is that being overweight creates in your body a state of chronic inflammation. Being overweight, not obese, being simply overweight creates in your body a state of chronic inflammation. Now, what does chronic inflammation do to you? It increases your risk of dementia, heart failure, cancer, and infection. So this is how being simply overweight increases your risk of heart failure, dementia, cancer, and infection. It is because when you are overweight, you develop a state of chronic inflammation in your body. Now, I am not saying that being obese doesn't create a state of chronic inflammation. The state of chronic inflammation is worse when you are obese, but it is already present when you are simply overweight. There. So you don't have to look anywhere else and say, well, but I don't have diabetes, I don't have high blood pressure, I eat healthy food, blah, 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 right? Simply having one risk factor, being overweight, puts you at higher risk of dementia, heart failure, cancer, and infection because of this chronic inflammation that is in your body, which is, of course, chronic inflammation is the consequence of you being overweight. So you need to do everything you can to implement lifestyle changes, and you know what I mean? I mean diet, exercise, good sleep, right? Stop alcohol, smoking, blah, 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 right? Have regular sexual activity, right? And zip your mouth. Choose one of the 4 diets that I mention all the time, the keto diet, the carnivore diet, the MASH diet, or the Mediterranean diets. These are excellent diets, and eat a little bit of it, right? I am on the keto diet starting 10 years ago, right? Right now, October 2025, Dr. B, 50 years young. 10 years ago, in my early 40s, I started the keto diet. In addition to that, when I am on the keto diet, I eat a little bit. So it's not enough to be on a carnivore diet or keto diet or MASH diet or Mediterranean diet. You have, in addition, to eat a little bit of those diets each time. When I eat from my carnivore diet, it's a little bit. So if let's suppose you choose the Mediterranean diet, right? But my God, if you keep eating a lot of that Mediterranean diet, you're going to get fat. Nothing's going to change. I am on the keto diet. If I eat a ton of that keto diet, my God, I'm going to become fat. So you have to not only choose a good diet, one of these 4 diets that I mentioned. In addition to that, you have to eat a little bit of it. You have to zip your mouth, and then you have to hit the gym. So once you understand this, where it is, here it is. Lifestyle changes, diet, exercise, good sleep, no stress in your life, right? No smoking, no alcohol, blah, blah, blah. You're going to not only lose weight, but also eliminate this chronic inflammation in your body. Because one of the major reasons why people develop chronic inflammation is being overweight or obese. Now, obviously, if you're obese, your chronic inflammation is through the roof, right? But being overweight doesn't put you, you cannot say, well, I'm overweight, I'm not obese, so I'm okay. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're not going to have a long life expectancy. So try to bring back your body mass index somewhere between 20 and 24.9. Body mass index, BMI. You weigh yourself, you divide your weight in kilogram, not pounds, by your height in meters squared, not in inches or feet. Kilograms, right, divided by your height in meters squared. And you should be between 20 to 24.9. Dr. B, I'm close to 20. I have no fat, nothing, right? I'm all skin, muscle, and bone. That's it. I can run faster than a jaguar, right? I look better than 90% of 20-year-olds, and I'm 50 years young, right? Do you know what I'm saying? And I sleep good, I exercise, I go to the gym, I zip my mouth, right? It is extremely important to implement these lifestyle changes sooner than later. Now, it's never too late, right? Even if you're 70, 80 years old, it's never too late. But you have to implement them sooner than later. And sooner if you're already overweight at 20 or overweight at 30, right? So you need to react. You need to change your lifestyle. And believe me, that chronic inflammation will disappear as you lose weight and you bring your BMI, body mass index, within normal range between 20 to 24.9. Ideally, get closer, as close as possible to 20. It's not easy. It requires time. It requires a lot of willpower. But my God, the results are fantastic. When I look at myself in the mirror, I have a big mirror in my shower, a big mirror in my bathroom. My God, I look better than all my nieces and nephews and family members and neighbors that are 20 or 30 years younger than me. As I said, 50% of the adult population in America are overweight, 30% are obese. Same thing for teenagers. Half of the teenagers are now obese in the Western world, whether it's the US or Europe or Canada or Australia, because they eat too much, they don't exercise, right? It's a disaster what is going on. So this is the mechanism by which you put yourself at high risk if you are overweight. And I see that in every patient who comes to our beautiful cardiovascular clinic. When I look in our electronic medical records, I look at the results of their inflammatory panel blood test. There's this blood test you can do every 6 months to check markers of inflammation. When I look at their markers of inflammation, everybody who is overweight or obese, they have elevated markers. Now, obviously, the degree of elevation of these inflammation markers depends on how much you have excess body fat, right? The fatter you are, the more your inflammatory panel markers will be higher, like the C-reactive proteins, right? You all have heard about the C-reactive proteins, right? I mean, the more obese you are, the higher your CRP, reactive protein. So do everything you can to get rid of this major risk factor, which is called being overweight or obese, and that will, which shortens a lot your life expectancy because of higher risk of dementia, heart failure, infection, and cancer. I love you guys. Dr. B loves you regardless of your gender, ethnicity, color of your skin, religion, whether you're atheist, religious, Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, whether you're gay, lesbian, LGBT, homosexual, heterosexual, blah, blah, blah. I'm a doctor. I promised in my Hippocratic oath that I will love every human being regardless. And I also promised that I will never put my benefit above yours. You will always be above me. I appreciate your viewership, your tips, your encouragements, your messages. May God bless you all and keep you always healthy and successful. Put your comments, your question, anything you want to ask, any katso you want to ask, or any comment, even criticism. I'm absolutely open to criticism. Unlike all my ex-girlfriends, I will take them constructively. I love you guys. Kapkun mak mak, kapkun nakrap, sawadi krap, and I hope to talk to you in the next video. Bye-bye.